Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers with another first run review. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the new On Cloudstratus 3. Let's dive in. The On Cloudstratus 3 costs £170 or $179.99, weighs in at 296 grams or 10.4 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 6mm. The On Cloudstratus 3 is the latest version of the brand's daily cushion shoe designed for comfort and reliability. It uses the same Helion superfoam midsole seen in the previous iteration, but adds a new nylon Speedboard to promote a smoother transition. The shoe features an engineered mesh upper, which includes improved padding around the tongue and heel collar, a modest level of outsole rubber to improve grip and durability, and a roomy toe box to deliver additional comfort.
So when it comes to fit, I ran true to size in a UK 8.5. That's my regular size, and I found that these shoes fit pretty well. There's good room in the toe box. You do have to pay attention a little bit to how you lace them down to get a good hold across the midfoot, I found. And they're not the most secure in the heel. They weren't for me, but I would still recommend going true to size in these shoes.
So the fit for me in the On Cloudstratus 3, I would say my size is a size 8 in the UK. This is a size 8 in the UK. It's a very roomy shoe. There's a lot of space in the forefoot for your foot to move around. If you have a narrow foot, you're probably going to notice that quite a bit because I have a fairly average width foot. And I noticed that there's quite a lot of space in the midfoot and in the forefoot. So you do have to strap it down a bit to get a nice tight fit if that's what you want. What I would say is that the upper is very plush. It's just a shoe that's really designed for comfort. It's very nice to put on. It doesn't feel like it's restrictive in any way, and it's very, very comfortable. Although I would say that because I did find it hard to get a lockdown fit, it didn't feel particularly secure on the run that I did in it, and I definitely wouldn't want to run really quick and go around tight corners in this shoe, but it's not the sort of shoe you're going to be using that for anyway. So I found it very comfortable and there's a lot of space in it, so I would stick to my size.
So the fit. So I found this fit pretty well. There's enough room in the toe box. I did find it slightly snugger, slightly shorter than something like the Nike Pegasus. I think On in general comes up a little bit smaller than Nike. So it's just something to bear in mind if you're not trying them on beforehand. That said, this is a UK 5. I run in a UK 5 in most brands and I wouldn't have sized up. I did have to size up in the Cloud Monster, but I had enough room in this shoe. So this probably wouldn't be my go-to colorway either from a design point of view, but I think it looks pretty cool, and I think they do it in a couple of other colors that would probably be more my cup of tea.
The fit of the Cloudstratus is pretty straightforward. It runs true to size for me. There's plenty of room in front of my toes. You know, I don't think it's running tight at all for me, and as far as kind of around the heel and things like that is concerned, there's no wiggle room, partly because it's so padded around the tongue, but no problems with fit there at all, and plenty of room in the toe box.
So my first run, my favourite On shoe to date has been the Cloud Monster. We all know I love a max cushion shoe. I'm a stompy runner. I want to get a lot of kind of energy return from my shoes, and I really don't want to ever feel the pavement under my feet ever. And I was really surprised by the Cloudstratus. I was really surprised by this shoe. I love a max cushion shoe, and this one definitely has a good amount of cushioning. I think with On shoes, they never look like it's going to be a really soft plush cushioning because of the cloud design, but it feels plush underfoot. I wore it for a really easy run along the river, wasn't trying to go fast, wasn't trying to pick up the pace, and I really enjoyed running in this shoe, and it really, really surprised me. It felt plush while still feeling light, and I found it super comfortable. I definitely think this is a good, easy running shoe, and I'm looking forward to doing some easy runs in it.
So the first run I did in the On Cloudstratus 3 was a 10k easy run, part of my marathon training. Wasn't going all out, probably at about 5-minute kilometers, which is a comfortable pace for me. And what I found about it is that it's fine. It's comfortable. It's nice to wear. It does the job. I didn't have any issues with it on that run. And yeah, it ticked all the boxes for a very normal workhorse trainer that's really designed for slower paces. What I would say about On of late is that they've recently launched a new foam called CloudTex Phase, and that's used in the new On Cloud Surfer. And that foam really impressed, I think, all of the run testers. It's a really soft, slightly bouncy foam, but it's just so nice to run in. It's very smooth. It's very enjoyable. It's great for easy runs. It's great for daily runs. This shoe does not have that in. This still has the Helion foam that's used in a lot of On shoes, or most of On shoes. And as a result, it's quite similar to the previous shoes. It's not a big upgrade on the earlier version of this shoe. The midsole is fine. It's fine. It feels good. There's not a lot of bounce in it. It's not necessarily a very lively foam. It feels quite stable. It feels very comfortable. There's a nice little bit of not a soft landing, but it does feel like you're landing comfortably. And I had no problems at all on that run. I think it works very well. What I would say is that it feels a little bit softer than some of the earlier Helion midsole foams, which is a nice treat. The On Cloud Monster, which is a very popular shoe, basically takes the Helion foam and adds loads more of it, and by doing that it becomes a little bit softer and a little bit more cushioned. This actually feels a little bit more like the On Cloud Monster for me than some of the earlier shoes, so it's a little bit less firm than what I expected from the shoe, which is a big plus point for me because I always find On shoes are a little bit too firm. So I think this is not a bad shoe for running in on a nice, comfortable, easy run. I definitely wouldn't pick up the pace in it when I attempted to run a bit faster. It just didn't want to do it. It wasn't really a shoe that was designed for picking up the pace. It's not particularly a versatile shoe from what I've seen on that run, and it definitely felt like it was most comfortable at those slower paced sort of cruising efforts. So yeah, I would say it was a fairly successful first run. Not blown away by it, but I don't think it's a shoe that's designed to do that. I think it's a shoe that people will buy for those sort of comfortable runs where you may be just going out and doing like 5 to 10k, and you just want something that's solid, stable. It's quite a nice stable shoe. I definitely felt like my foot was firmly hitting the ground. The only issue is that upper for me. It's just a little bit loose. It took me a bit of time to really hinge it in and get it a nice tight fit. But at those sorts of paces that I ran at in that run, it wasn't an issue for me really. I don't really desperately need a really tight lockdown fit if I'm going out for a comfortable jog. But it's just keep that in mind if you're picking up the shoe and you've got a narrow foot. Other than that, it was just a solid, comfortable shoe. I think it's pretty similar to what you would expect from On shoes, but I do think it's a slight improvement. I believe there's a new Speedboard in here, which is meant to be a little bit softer. It does feel a bit, that might be what's causing the softness for me, and it is a slight improvement on the previous version. So I do think it's an upgrade, and I do think it's a bit of an improvement on older On shoes, but it's not going to wow you.
My first run in the Cloudstratus is an odd one because I didn't really notice I was wearing them, which is sort of good and sort of bad. Like, there was nothing to hate about them. I just didn't really notice that I was wearing a new shoe, but equally I didn't get any of that kind of new shoe hooray feel that you would normally get. They felt fairly heavy. They didn't feel super cushioned, but they felt, plenty of cushioning. The classic kind of On firmness that you get with that Speedboard normally. So a bit of a strange one. I haven't done any tempo work or anything like that in them, so it'd be interesting to see what kind of reaction I get and if they've got much responsiveness in them. But pretty kind of like meh as a first run, to be honest.
So for my first runs, I've done about 10 miles so far in the On Cloudstratus 3, mostly on roads and some light river trails. That's all at my very easy head up and enjoy the scenery pace, and that includes 1 hour-long 10k run. Now, thinking back to the Cloudstratus 2, I found that to be a pretty reliable workhorse. An okay shoe that wasn't particularly remarkable, probably a bit behind the competition on performance and price in this kind of max cushion daily trainer space. And after my first runs in the Cloudstratus 3, I think this third generation still kind of fits that bill. Now, there are improvements here. The midsole ride is noticeably softer and more cushioned underfoot. Those double stacked Helion clouds provide good protection on the landings without feeling too soft and sinky. If you've always found On shoes a little too firm, then I think these have changed that for the better without going too far the other way. Now, while you're getting that cushioning, there is still return and responsiveness here, and the rockering I think definitely helps with the easy clip-along miles, those low and slow paces that I was doing. But they're still not as energetic as I think the likes of the Mach 5 or the Endorphin Speed and other daily trainers that tick off those faster paces a bit better. And I'm not sure they're as free-flowing as something like the lighter Cloud Monster either. If you're after that big bouncy feel as well that's offered by some big stack daily trainers, I don't think you get that here. It's not that real kind of lively energy. They're also considerably heavier than many other dailies and even max cushion shoes. You know, they're heavier than the second generation Cloudstratus by a chunk, and I think you notice that. There's quite a lot going on here overall in terms of the shoe, so you're going to need to enjoy a big built-up shoe with considerable kind of uppers to enjoy these. But as ever, those uppers have a nicely plush feel to them. The heels are nicely padded, the tongues are pretty well balanced too. That makes for solid step-in comfort, and I was able to log long miles straight out of the box with these, though it took a while for them to kind of loosen up, that midsole ride to loosen up, and they definitely felt more natural deeper into that first 10k run.
So my verdict on the On Cloudstratus 3 is that it's a solid, comfortable shoe. It's very nice to wear. There's a lot of padding in it. There's a lot of room in it. It's not a performance shoe really. It's not going to be very versatile for you. But if you just want a solid shoe for doing 5 to 10k, maybe slow runs up to maybe even half marathon, it's fine for that. I think it's absolutely fine. I do think there are, based off of that first run, I do think there are better shoes out there if that's what you're looking for. £170, that's quite a lot of money for a solid shoe that is just designed for slower, comfortable runs. I think there's shoes like the Brooks Glycerin 20, the Saucony Triumph 21. I think they just do what this shoe is trying to do, but a bit better. They're a little bit more versatile, a little bit more comfortable, and I just think they're a superior shoe. But obviously with On, you're getting the style that people like, so that's probably the additional cost that you're paying for on these shoes. They're all about the same price these days. I just think the Triumph and the Glycerin are a little bit better when it comes to performance, softness, bit of bounce, all those sorts of things. But you probably, if you're a big On fan, you're going to like the look of this one more.
Now, my kind of first impressions here, if you're after a cushion cruiser for low and slow easy miles with perhaps a few mid-tempo efforts thrown in, then I think the Cloudstratus 3 will do a job just like the Cloudstratus 2. I've enjoyed my initial miles in them without being blown away. It's a really kind of happy cruiser vibe for me here. I found them relatively well balanced, if a tad heavy, and that weightiness probably limits their top end speed and subsequently that overall daily training versatility. But my first impressions are that the midsole is now happily more cushioned without becoming soggy or saggy. The rocker does a good job of rolling you through your stride, and I'd very happily run longer, slower efforts in the Cloudstratus 3, though I probably prefer a lighter, more stripped back shoe overall. But as with the Cloudstratus 2, I think these will make a decent workhorse for many runners who are happy to take things easy and tick over slower miles. However, these initial miles haven't convinced me that I'd buy them over the cheaper Cloud Monster, and I think you'll get a lively, more agile ride from something like the Cloud Surfer 7 that's, you know, overall a bit more versatile. But I definitely need to do more comparative testing with those shoes, and we'll have head-to-heads for those on the channel in the not too distant future for you.
So my really early verdict after one run, I'm looking forward to doing more runs in this, trying to do a long run in it, and even trying to do a tempo session and pick up the pace in it a bit, is that I like this shoe. It's a really comfortable, kind of easy run shoe. I think there's a potential for it to kind of be a bit more versatile and be able to pick up the pace in it a little bit, because you do have a, you know, it's not like we're not talking like a Zoom X, like you're not sinking into this shoe. So there is potential for it to be more versatile, and I'm looking forward to doing more testing in it. But so far, I'm impressed. I haven't tested the previous versions of this shoe. Like I said, I've kind of stuck with the Cloud Monster as my go-to On shoe. So I was super surprised by this shoe. £170 is pretty expensive for an everyday running shoe, so it is a lot of money. It's something to consider, and there probably are a lot of other kind of super plush everyday running shoes on the market around that price point or a little bit lower. But if you're an On fan, I think this is worth a look, and I'm looking forward to doing more running in it.
Thoughts on the Cloudstratus is I just don't really know where it fits into the mix, especially in something which has got the Cloud Monster available as well. It's just it's got more weight because of that extra cushioning, the meatier upper and things like that, and yet it doesn't feel that much more cushion to run in because it's still got the Speedboard. you know, it's got the kind of slightly closed off cloud so you don't get the stone stuck in, but then so is the cloud monster. So I'm struggling to see where it fits, but we'll see what happens when I run some kind of tempo and faster stuff, and maybe it will warm up.
That's it from us on this first run review of the On Cloudstratus 3. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that little bell, and check the channel for all the other videos we've got out at the moment. And if you go to the caption below, you can also find a link to our podcast, which comes out at the end of each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.